about to go live. Oh! Shit. Alrighty. We are back. Happy to be back. Happy Tuesday, guys. We're recording this on a Tuesday, one day after Game 3 of the NBA Finals between New York and San Antonio. We were talking about that, obviously, last week. 1 week into Love Island as well. Shout out everyone watching Love Island. We'll get into that a little later. Maybe not today. Maybe today a little bit. But sorry, I just spilled a bunch of crayons and colored pencils over here, so I'm going to just start ignoring them because the episode started. But to my right, we got a new guest, new co-host, one of my very good friends, one of the people that I work with. All right, we got Jacob in the building.
What's up, bro? How y'all doing?
Que lo que. Puerto Rican, lefty, solid dude. All right, let's get straight into it. Episode 6 is right now. All right, and we are recapping Game 3 of the finals. And the reason why Jacob is here is because this is my political correspondent. This is my let me start with the description.
Nah, you good.
This is my political correspondent. He will have more titles later, but you guys will find those out before I tell you. All right? Game 3. We were trying to focus on the basketball, but it was hard to focus on the basketball because you got this guy up in the suites that every time they put the camera on him, the whole arena just erupts in boos and showers a bunch of hate upon this man. We know why. I'm not even going to act like we don't know why. Trump is in the building. Now, straight into it. Do we feel like Trump affected the Knicks' performance, or maybe the Knicks fans' performances in the stands? Were they focused on the wrong thing? Did they have a little too much hate in their heart that led to their loss? Were they not focused on the right things? How do you feel about that, Jacob?
So, I don't know enough about basketball in the terms and all that, but what I do know is he a bitch, and he definitely was at fault. I mean, they had 2 games? They went back-to-back?
Yeah, they were 2-0.
You know?
They were 2-0. On the road, too. That's hard to do.
Exactly. Not
That's
even home, you know? And then this orange man comes into the building, half asleep, actually, most of the game. And they
not
lose.
Dressed up as a basketball, by the way.
Not literally. And he's just there with his eyes closed, not even watching a game, and they lose. You know? It was by not by that much, but the fact that they lost while he was there, I definitely think he was at fault for sure.
One thing I liked, I found a little funny. Dark joke, but funny nonetheless. I seen on Twitter, or X now, they're like, if he dies, just keep playing. I thought that was a little funny, and just, with everything going on in the world, that would have been absolutely insane if that actually happened. People be tweeting stuff and it comes to life. So you got to watch out for tweets like that, especially when they go viral like that. But
no, I definitely think New York would have celebrated if he would have. That was it for him right there. If he closed his eyes and didn't wake up after that, that would have been still a win for the Knicks. Yeah,
Secret Service would have had to keep a secret for at least just that night. You know what I mean? Win or lose. But as for the basketball, I want to get into the basketball a little bit. The Spurs just bought themselves a whole new life. You know what I mean? Being down 2-0, especially losing the first 2 games at home, is absolutely devastating. It's something that you don't really see. I don't know when the last time I seen something like that in the NBA Finals. So being the Spurs and having such a young roster, it was tough for me to kind of imagine what kind of performance they would have to put together, mainly from Wemby, but see who are the other guys that would possibly step up, given that they haven't been in a scenario being down 2-0 in the finals on the road. With that being said, I have to give a lot of credit in the world to Stephon Castle. If you guys follow the Instagram page, Purest Play Podcast, you see some of the bets I place. So we have to give our credit to Stephon Castle off the rip. I bet on Stephon Castle for 20 points at plus 231 odds, 25 to win 82. And you guys can complain to me about how little money that is. Hey, a win is a win, and I'm going to take that every time. Stephon Castle for 20 points. He was underwhelming the first 2 games of the series. And just looking at his shot volume and the looks he was getting watching the actual game, I saw that there was opportunity for Stephon Castle to step up in that scoring department, given the fact that when he plays that pick and roll with Wemby, they're focused on Wemby. Both of those defenders involved in the pick and roll. So I seen a lot of opportunity for him to stop, pull up, use that mid-range jumper. He's been doing a good job spacing the floor. I think that he just needed to see some shots go in from downtown. Fortunately, last night we was able to see that. So big shout out to Stephon Castle, first and foremost, scoring 23 points, hitting my 20-point mark with relative ease. He gave me a little bit of a scare in that second half if you guys were watching, but nonetheless, he came through. 18 points in that first half. Another shout out, Wemby, obviously. When you're playing like that, you know, you're making the NBA all the money in the world. 32, 6, and 8. You know, it's exciting if you're the Spurs and you're Wemby. You feel like you figured something out a little bit. So it'll be very interesting to see with the game 4 coming on Wednesday tomorrow. It'll be very interesting to see if they can repeat that performance. Because as good of a performance as it was from San Antonio, New York had a lot of fight to them. They was clear on the fact that even though they're home, they can't rest on their laurels. They knew that they were facing a team that was down 2-0. They knew that they were facing a team that was desperate for a win, regardless of them being on the road. The Knicks did a good job eating those punches that was thrown at them and responding back with a punch of their own. Unfortunately, it kind of felt like that they turned the ball over one too many times, and there was just a 3 or 2 that kind of felt the Spurs way instead of the Knicks way. So give credit to the Knicks, but the Spurs won that game fair and square. I'm looking forward to game 4. Now that the basketball part is covered from it, right? Back to our political correspondent. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there has been videos of Spurs fans in MSG around 34th Street, 33rd Street. Those guys are in danger. If you have on a Spurs jersey in June in New York City, you have a bounty on your head for free. You know what I mean? Guys are getting jumped outside of the arena for having on Wemby jerseys, having on Tim Duncan jerseys. I wanted to ask how you feel about this, just from a non-basketball perspective, you know what I mean? From more of a humanity perspective. And how do you feel like this reflects upon the league and upon fans in the world, knowing that there's so many people that enjoy basketball?
Nah, for me, because once you said it, the Tim Duncan, like that was, you know, that's why I grew up with watching basketball. Tim Duncan, you know, the big threes, everybody back then, you know, that's when I was really into basketball, going to the games. And I saw that one video, the dude had a Tim Duncan shirt, and they really made that dude take it off. I think they ripped his shirt off. Like, crazy. Like, that's sad. If I had a Ray Allen shirt or Paul Pierce shirt and somebody just ripped that off my back.
Dude was fighting for his life.
And again, I'm all about respectfulness, you know, making sure everybody's cool and all that, but that was just out of line. Again, we're all there to enjoy the basketball. Like, how I see it, too, it's like, all that energy that they were putting into these fans, why did they put that energy on Trump's motorcade or some shit like that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't do that shit to this evil-ass dude. You know, you got people here enjoying basketball. Shit, they might even be New Yorkers. They're just wearing a Spurs shirt, you know?
I know, right?
You know,
I would imagine they would live in New York. I would imagine that they're, you know, New York residents at this point. And from my perspective, it's like, as a basketball fan, if you can't respect a Tim Duncan jersey, like, what jersey can you respect? I mean, I can't think of a less conflicting, rage-inducing jersey than a Tim Duncan jersey. He was the most respectful player in the league. He wasn't no trash talker. He wasn't boisterous. He's very humble. A champion, a winner. And, you know, I get New York. I used to live in New York. I love New York. But it's almost like that's why as a fan base, as an organization, you guys get no love sometimes because it's like a kid that gets a toy and breaks it instantly. They don't know what to do with it. They don't treat it right. You know, you're in the finals. There's bigger fish to fry. You guys have a 2-0 lead. Okay, you have a 2-1 lead. The fans aren't even talking crap. They're trying to get home. Let them have their moment. Let them have their win. Don't give these New York players something else to be distracted on, because you guys think that this is just in the streets, and you guys just think that, oh, this is between the fans. But when Jalen Brunson and Mikal and Kat, these media reporters are asking them about, hey, what do you guys think about these kind of things happening outside of the arena, and what do you think should change? Now they got to spend less time being basketball players, and they got to turn into mayors and governors and politicians to tell people the message that we should already know, which is, keep the violence to a minimum. You know what I mean? The only type of violence you should display is self-defense. And nobody's attacking you guys. We know that this is New York. We understand that this is majority of Knicks fans. But, yeah, I think, obviously, lines were crossed, and everyone can agree with that. And, there's only so many different times you can laugh at it. Here we go. Kev. We got Kev in the building. Now. I should have brought my other microphone. Kev, we just got finished talking about Game 3. How'd you feel about Game 3? And tell me what you thought after Game 2, too.
I ain't gonna hold you. I'm gonna give it all credits to Keenan. I told him, it might be over in 5. I don't think the Spurs got enough. They showed me something Game 3. I don't think they did anything differently. I just feel like Wemby got to the cup more, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they still made Brunson shoot terrible. But I really feel like if Wemby doesn't miss that Game 2 jump shot, Spurs is up 2-1. Now, for the chat, if Spurs win Game 4,
they won't.
Where do we stand now? Keenan says it's a whole new series.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a long ride to San Antonio. Pause, because my man Vaughn be watching. And
what
yeah,
up,
I really feel like if Wemby can play dominant like that every game, it's going to be a tough road for New York. But if Jalen Brunson gets going, and if Cat gets 18, I don't know what to say. But I'm going to stick with my prediction. Spurs in 7.
Spurs in 7.
And I got to go.
Hey, shout out, man, Kev. As always.
Dogs.
As always.
My fault, dog. I was over there.
Nah, I already know. I started this late, too. I already know. Don't worry about it. Yeah. For sure. So there you have it from Kev. His take on the series so far. He got Spurs in 7 now. He did say Spurs in 6 earlier, but we'll let him slide on that. All right? And, yeah, I did say if Spurs win Game 4, it's a whole new series.
I don't think they will.
But exactly. They got to win. So I got to see it first for it to be a whole new series. I do have all the confidence in the world in the Knicks still. And I did say Knicks in 6. So, no, I would not be surprised if the Spurs get another game, even if it might be next game. But my prediction still stands. So with that being said, we'll let those be the predictions. We'll let Game 4 take place when it does. You guys will probably be watching this after Game 4. So maybe I look like a genius. Maybe I look like an idiot. Maybe Kev looks like maybe Kev looks like the genius. Maybe. But you should have seen the text he was texting me, because he had zero faith in those boys after Game 2. He had zero faith in them. All right? But nonetheless, where were we? We were talking about, the Knicks as a fan base. You guys need like a president of your fan base that can like tell, the fans how to act and what to expect. I love the energy. I love the ruckusness to a certain extent.
I think that's what people love the most about New York.
Yeah.
How lit they get. Even if they don't win, they're still very supportive of their team and all that, And I think it's not just being a New Yorker, like anybody from any city in the United States. Like
right.
They really look forward to the memes, to the vibes, to new clips of how is New York gonna react and respond to this. But definitely yesterday what they did was wild.
Over the top. Hey, sometimes it's just not worth the clip. So obviously one more game in New York. Well, they guarantee themselves a Game 6 regardless, but one more game in New York until they go back to San Antonio. So hopefully we can watch tomorrow's game on Wednesday, and we will see the post game. Everyone can get home safely regardless of who wins. You know what I mean? Because I get it. Your team lost, but nobody should be getting beat up because they're wearing the opposing team's jersey. And this is coming from a guy who walked in TD Garden with a Sun starter jacket on. You know what I mean? I'll go to the Celtics game hoping they win, and I'll be wearing, a Paolo Banchero shirt. So that's coming from a guy like this. So, you know what I mean? Just be nice to one another. You know what I mean? It's just sports at the end of the day. It's supposed to bring us all together, not divide us, even if, we might be rooting for two different teams and competing for the biggest trophy in the sport. But let's have some regulation about us, all right? And yeah, I just want to say about how, if you didn't know already, Game 4 is by far the most pivotal game in every series. It just is, because you have a chance to sweep, you have a chance to get your first win in the series, you have a chance to tie the series, or you have a chance to take back the momentum. So Game 4 is a series, a game in the series that I always look forward to regardless of the score. How people say Game 1, you can't judge off of that because it's Game 1. I feel the opposite off of Game 4. When Game 4 plays, it tells me exactly the kind of team you are. You know what I mean? So I'm very looking forward to this next game. Knicks out the honeymoon phase. Their 13-game win streak ended, right? So they're back to reality. They're back to square one. Spurs, obviously down 2-0. You give the people, the NBA fans, something to talk about. It's not just going to be a sweep of a series. You know what I mean? We can end this year with a bang. Everybody loves a close playoff series. Obviously, last year in the finals, shout out Halliburton. He tore his Achilles. But that whole series going 7 was awesome, even though those are two small market teams. So, yeah, shout out to the Knicks. Spurs. Looking forward to the rest of that series. Now, let's go off topic here. How do we feel about communication and accountability when talking to women on an intimate level? Now, I say this because, one, I'm watching Love Island, right? So I'm trying to understand myself through other people's mistakes, I guess you could say, right? Love Island's a whole show. You guys know about it. They're talking, they're chatting, they're exploring connections, right? They might move on, they might stay. One person might be in it and committed. One person might act like they are and they're not. And, every week you might see a new couple. You might see someone leave, right? Same thing in real life, right? We're all going through this stuff. I was just with a good friend and her friends, and, we were all talking about, what are the expectations from a man to a woman, vice versa. And I learned a couple things, right? But I wanted to ask you this, Jacob, because obviously we had conversations before this, and, obviously there's a certain comfort level that I don't want to just have you expose, but this is a podcast, so how do you feel about communication and accountability when talking to a woman, when trying to develop a connection with a woman? How do you feel about that, Jacob?
So for me, I feel like the main, because I use this with everything from relationship to friendship to even work. I always look for honesty, communication, and consistency. And I feel like that leads to communication, accountability, and all that. If you're honest about things, I already know you're accountable. You've been honest since day one. You're communicating that, and you're consistent doing these things. Mm-hmm. The second you don't do any of those things, I really got a few questions, but I'm still going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But when it comes to that, because how I am, I'm very vocal about it. I want people to be more vocal about it. You can't make somebody be something they're not. Right. So just finding those things in a friend or partner is hard to find. But I feel like just if you don't have that, like for me, like I always tell you too, it's like I'm always looking for a reason not to like somebody.
Right.
And I feel like if you don't have any of those things, it's a no for me. I'm not gonna bother doing that. And I feel like our generation spends too much time, and even the past generation, but currently our generation, I can speak on, spend too much time trying to make people what they're not, you know, and trying to find those boxes that they're looking for in people they're not. They'll either won't have it at this time or probably won't ever have it in their lives. You know?
It's tough for a person to change.
Yeah. So, and I feel like, because also accountability, I feel like too has to do with a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah.
And this generation, what I've seen, they lack that.
Yeah.
It's too much on like, and not to go back and forth, but that's the reason I don't watch Love Island. You know, because to me, it's a TV series, you know. It's like any other TV show. There is a script, you know. There's certain people coming in. If you're not giving them the views, then Keenan, you're gonna have to be out. We're gonna get some other dude to come in that's gonna give us the views, you know? Right. And I feel like you're never gonna fully be accountable or yourself because it's a script, it's a show, or whatever, you know. Right. And with this generation, there's no awareness when it comes to those things. And you may think you're aware, but you're probably also surrounded by people that aren't aware that make you be in that cycle. But yeah, I think it's for both sides. You know, if you don't have it and they don't have it, it's definitely not going to work. It's going to be a lot of toxicity. Yeah. And I'd rather be at peace with myself than be in that toxic cycle.
1,000%. I agree with that. And to add on to that, I want to say that I think there's something in the air, at least just from because all I could do is speak from my experience, right? And the experiences I hear from, you know, my good friends and stuff like that. But I feel like there's a sense of having expectations for someone when you're talking to them on that kind of level. And then there's a lack of communication expressing those expectations. So there may be a certain way that a girl sees things or operates in a certain way. And they may not be disclosing that fully, or they may be expressing those set of expectations to cater to, you know, the guy they're talking to. So for me, that's one of those things where I feel like, you know, there's situations where I feel like I'll be overexerting myself or spending too much time in a conversation or in an experience that's going nowhere. Why? Because I feel like there's women out here that have expectations, but they don't share them. You get what I'm saying? They'll look at you and they'll be like, yo, you're not moving the way, or I don't see you in the light that would make you, that I'd want to be in a relationship with you. But they're sticking around because, hey, this is a decent enough guy where this guy might take me somewhere, or this guy might, you know, get me some dinner, or this guy may pick me up, or this guy may be able to take me to these experiences that, you know, I wouldn't want to go myself. You know what I mean? They want to have that intimacy. They want to have that imagery of having a man sometimes without wanting a man. You know, and I just feel like there's a lot of just disconnect between people's expectations, and even for men too. I've definitely experienced this myself as well. Like, I won't disclose as clearly as I should my expectations and my vision for being with said girl. You know, sometimes it's because, hey, I do like you, but there's a pressure of, well, if I like you and I hang around you long enough, I'm going to feel obligated to get in a relationship with you. Because, of course, women want to be courted. They want to be intimate. They want to find their partner. Who doesn't? But for me, sometimes there's a pressure where it's like, okay, if I treat this girl to enough dates and enough, you know, outings, there's going to be a certain expectation of me doing this. Why? Because, you know, I got to work on being accountable and disclosing how I'm feeling about things in real time. You know what I mean? And I think women have to do the same thing too at times. So I feel like that's just a little bit that be going on. And of course, I think Love Island's an exaggerated version of that for sure. Like one day on Love Island's like 2 weeks in real life. You know what I mean? So it's tough to just watch that show and take it super serious, you know. And I'm really just watching it for the content piece of it and just having that experience of just seeing what everyone else is seeing and why they like it. But yeah, I think that's where I'm at with these women, because it's like you'll see everything's going great one day and then the next day, you know, everything changes and you don't know exactly why. You know what I mean? You can speak on that?
Yep. Nah, because you said a lot of good points, but that's basically where I'm at right now. Like, I do think with the whole expectation, like they would come with whatever person they were with before, and because they gave him this or didn't give him that, they expect this from you or don't expect that from you. And once you do something they don't expect, they kind of push back. But then when you do something they do expect, they still push back, and it's just very interesting because then. With me, like I would say, I'm a gentleman. I'm not going to do something just because I think you might like it. I'm going to make sure that you do like this, or I'm going to try to communicate this with you before I do act on it.
Yep.
And even sometimes communicating that, it may trigger somebody and make them feel a certain way. But I do agree with that, like the whole expectations, like how you're moving a certain way one day, they're giving you all these signals, and you're like, okay, so they like the way that I'm talking to them, the way that I'm doing things, you know, the way that I'm showing love or like taking care of you.
Yeah.
And then the next day, like overnight, they're like, oh, no, like that's not what I want, or I don't feel this way. And I was like, okay, so you could at least communicate that.
Right.
Instead of just expecting certain things and then out of nowhere not wanting that, you know, because I'm big, like I told you, consistency, honesty, and communication. Mm-hmm. If I don't like you or I'm not feeling something, I'm not even going to try to pursue you.
Right.
Because I don't like doing that. I don't like leading people on. But also it's like, it's an adult thing. Like if you're an adult, also know, like aware.
Yeah.
Why would you put somebody, you know, make them chase you, and then once they have you, you no longer want the chase, you know? It's just weird for that. So I definitely agree with that. I always communicate everything. As if that's not what you want, then cool. I just need to hear that because I can't read your mind.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of people just expect you to read their mind. And again, because we're guys, and I'm not saying everybody, all the women, but like because we're guys, I feel like they expect us to provide and do all these different things. And it's just like everybody's different. Mm-hmm. Like I know women hate to say that like they're all the same. Like you're not the same. So I'm not going to treat you like I was treating somebody else because I don't know what you like or don't like. You know? So I come in to a new friendship relationship with, okay, I did do these things before, but maybe this person's not going to like these things.
Exactly.
Whereas I feel like from my experience, the women that I've talked to or dated, they come in with all these things, and because their past men like this, that I'm going to like this. I'm like, nah, that's not.
That don't correlate.
You know, and it's just so interesting that like we got to kind of like be careful with all these different things, whereas they're more like, oh, okay, I'm going to do these things because it's been working for me.
Right.
You know?
And another thing I wanted to mention before we get off of this, because I know we're running good on time, but I just recently found out too that, and please let me know if you guys heard this or you do this yourself, but so I guess when you're dating, right? If you're dating somebody, if you're making somebody your girlfriend or a girl's making someone their boyfriend, there's people that date that don't initially see themselves spending the rest of their lives with them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's people that get in relationships with other people, serious committed relationships, where they're not sure if that's the person for them. Now, this is something that's new for me that I heard, and I've only had one like girlfriend serious relationship, so I'm not the relationship expert here, and I have a tough time committing anyways. But that's another story for another day. But do you have you ever seen it like that as well? Just dating to date for the experience, not knowing that in your head at least this is the person that you could see yourself spending the rest of your life with, or for you, for the girlfriend's experiences you had, even if it's just talk to a girl, shoot, but is it for you, nah, this person has to feel like I want to spend the rest of my lives with them. What do you think?
Nah, so for me, because I'm a lover, you already know I share my love with everybody. I make sure I let them know too. That goes for everybody, family, homies, friends. Like I make sure I let them know how much I care about them. So I do the same thing when it comes to partners.
Yeah.
I'm very vocal about it too. And like I said, like I wouldn't want to put myself in a situation where I don't see myself doing these things with them. So I talk, like, you know, like I always tell people, I'm sure I told you this before, and I told a lot of my guy friends, I was like, talk to a woman with a purpose. You know, talk to people with a purpose. I feel like a lot of people don't talk to people with a purpose. They kind of just like, let's see what I can get out of this. Whereas like with me, if I don't see you going out on dates or like just doing the things that I love to do, which again, it doesn't have to be everything, but like, if I don't see those things, then I'm not gonna bother. Like, yeah, we can be friends. I'm cool with being friends.
Right.
But I see myself doing these things, you know, and that was like my experience where like I'm very picky with who I let into my life, because again, like it could be like a quick friendship and then it could lead to something like that. And like I always say, like I don't expect much from anybody.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the best way to go about it. So it's like, you know, talk to somebody. Don't expect anything from them.
Right.
That goes to y'all guys. Don't expect pussy every time y'all go out on a date. Just go out, see where it goes, and watch it. Like the least you expect, the more you get out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's a right way to go, because I feel like too, a lot of guys just get disappointed at the end of the night, you know, because of things like that. Where it's like with me, like if I'm gonna go out with somebody, I'm not expecting all of this.
Yes.
Shoot, if it's offered, that's not where my head was at, but bon appetit. I appreciate it, you know? Pero don't expect much from anybody. Just go with the flow. Again, if you don't see yourself with this person doing certain things, don't even bother doing that.
Sí.
Don't play with people's heads.
Entonces, porque claro. But can you look at experiences with women? Minor experiences. Just say you go out on a date and you guys have a good conversation. Can you look at that as a win?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because like I always say too, I learn from everything. I'm always telling people that like I'm not the same person I was yesterday, just because I may learn something new. So even if I go out with somebody on like a date or just to hang out, I learn how I probably can have a conversation with somebody and not talk about this or that, or how I can handle certain situations when I'm probably annoyed with somebody else that's coming in over here. And I'm like, all right, like I'm not letting out my stress. Like, there's just so many ways. So anytime I go out and do anything, I learn from that. I learn what I like or I don't like, or what I can do better, or what I've actually improved on. You know, and I'm always looking at it like a video game, like the bars and the skills section where you're like, oh, I got this skill down.
I like that.
Now let me get this other skill down. Cool. I'm annoyed with these people coming in here being hella loud, but you know, I'm in a public area. I need to figure out how to like, okay, cool. Let me just have my little sip of wine. Let me talk. I'm cool now. You know, I'm not even paying too much mind to that. So it's just like I'm always learning from everything and anything, to be honest.
You figure out your rhythm through those experiences, right? And I say that to say, kind of like how he was saying, and I'm not one to give advice necessarily, but I feel like we're all talking as a group here. So don't set these goals for yourselves expecting to achieve them. You know what I mean? Either way, if you're the woman dealing with the man, if you're the man dealing with the woman, I feel like we need to appreciate the moments as they come and the experiences for what they are. Not necessarily trying to stack up one day on top of the other. When you're in a committed relationship, of course, you're a team, right? But in that exploring connection phase, like, let's not put these expectations, because if you're not lying to them, you're probably lying to yourself, right? And vice versa. If you're not lying to yourself, you're probably lying to them, right? So there's a certain level of sacrifice I think we all need to have, but I think more so over everything, there needs to be a sense of appreciation when you're even having a conversation with the woman. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm the type where I'll just compliment you. I'm gonna compliment you on Instagram. I'm not even gonna ask to see you or make time with you. You know what I mean? Like, to me, those are wins sometimes. You can't sit here and expect, because she may look good, that you gotta put in your head it's all or nothing in terms of I gotta woo her through the DMs, and I gotta come up with this thing that she may or may not like, and then I gotta follow through, and then if I do all that, I gotta lay her down. Like, we can't be looking at it like this no more. You know what I mean? We have to take the appreciation from, oh, she appreciated my message and, you know, reciprocated some love back. That's cool. Maybe it might be a conversation. Ooh, that's cool. Extend the conversation. Oh, okay. Maybe she wants to meet up. Maybe we can go to the movies or do bowling or something like that. Like, take each of those for a win. Don't wait for you to get the cat and then feel like you win. You know what I mean? You can win long before that, because at the end of the day, whether you're getting a cat or not, it's nothing you're doing. It's the woman allowing you to enjoy that victory. So understand that the women are doing the conquering. You know, shout out Mama Barnes, but the women are doing the conquering out here. So as a man, we have to understand our controllables and what we can control. And one thing we can control for sure is our appreciation for our experiences. So let's do that instead of trying to put a fairy tale and an expectation and a judgment on everything we go through. Because everyone's different, and we don't want to chalk it up to all the women. Same way the men don't want to get chalked up to all the men. All right? So I'm looking at what they're doing on Love Island. I don't condone half of this shit.
I don't condone none of it.
I don't condone half of this shit. You know what I'm saying? But that's the belly of the beast sometimes. You know what I mean? That's the other side sometimes you have to see. That I was almost neglecting myself from seeing. But sometimes you do have to see how crazy these other people are and the lengths they go to kind of give yourself some regulation and give yourself some clarity that, okay, maybe I'm not so bad. Maybe my approach isn't so bad. So I just wanted to, you know, try little go off road. We talk about sports all day, and you know I could talk about sports all day, but summertime's coming. The NBA is coming to an end, and it's going to be a long summer, and I'm looking forward to it. So hopefully we can have more conversations like this. Let me know what you liked about it, what you thought. I'm going to be clipping this stuff up. Definitely some clip-worthy material. But first and foremost, I want to thank my guy Jacob making his debut on the Purest Play podcast, episode number 6. This will be episode number 6. So shout out to Jacob for coming on. You will see this guy a lot more time. So he's not just a political correspondent, a little bit of a love doctor, as you can see too. So, you know, we'll be working on the titles. But that's all I got for y'all today. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, keep it pure, comment, share. Take care of yourself, man. All right?
Dale.
Peace out.
Gracias.
There we go.
Good shit.